Your background is in real estate. One of your partners has a background in finance. How did you end up leading a measure to regulate tech companies?
Because I had a conversation with a Google engineer, and I asked him, hey, should we be worried about privacy? And I expected it to be the answer that you get from an airline pilot if you say, should I be worried about flying? And they say, of course not, now that you're at the airport, the most dangerous part's over. And this Google engineer looked at me and said, if you just knew how much we knew about you, you'd be really scared.
So the first component of CCPA is the right to know, which will allow Californians the right to find out what information corporations have collected about them. Next is the right to say no, which allows Californians to tell businesses to stop selling their personal information. The final major piece of CCPA involves data security. CCPA requires corporations to take basic measures to keep California's data safe. CCPA has a sensible solution. It allows companies to collect and use your information, including, importantly, to advertise to you. It just doesn't give them a license to resell that information for the rest of your life if you don't agree.
My question is about Google's largest unit, Alphabet's largest unit, Google, and the California Privacy Act, which is going to be on the ballot in November. Would you consider dropping your opposition?
Privacy groups say Facebook itself needs to be more transparent or stay out of politics. And just last month, Facebook contributed $200,000 to fight the California Consumer Privacy Act, which is why the privacy groups like Consumer Watchdog want Facebook to stop funding political campaigns until it becomes more transparent.
At which point my wife kicked me out of the house and said, go to Sacramento, you've been working on this for 2.5 years, don't come back without a vote, a positive vote.
Aye. Wilk. Aye.
Ayes 36, no 0. The measure passes. Immediate transmittal to the Assembly.
Close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Without objection, immediate transmittal to the governor.
Lawmakers passing the California Consumer Privacy Protection Act with unanimous support, promising to give control back to consumers.
I do have 3 little kids. I'm a dad. And when I think about the world they're growing up into, I can think of a few more important issues.
Alastair Mactaggart is the wealthy Bay Area real estate developer behind the measure. He spent $3 million of his own money to get it on the November ballot, but agreed to a compromise with the tech industry, allowing the legislature to vote instead of voters. A fight that advocates say could lead to nationwide change.
We understand that this committee is considering a national standard for data privacy, but we implore you not to weaken or undo the safeguards CCPA has so recently put in place, which now cover 40 million Americans. 1 in 8 Americans are now covered by this law.
Hey everybody, Gavin Newsom here in the state capitol. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you tonight, but I just want to first thank Jamie for all the good work you're doing, all your credible advocacy on behalf of millions of Californians, millions and millions more Americans. And I want to just acknowledge and thank my old friend Alastair for stepping up and stepping in where, frankly, the leadership in Sacramento was unwilling. Your demonstrable leadership has allowed California to lay claim to this, to being the first and the best in the consumer privacy space. We need to maintain that status. We can't allow it to be diluted, and we need to assert ourselves even more boldly as we move forward in the digital age. Wouldn't have happened without you, Alastair. Wouldn't have happened without you, Jamie, and others holding us to account. Thank you. We're hardly perfect, and we get that, and we appreciate always trying to raise the bar and expectations. Keep at it. Keep up the good work.